around and disregard it. Sweep you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started, it's the hardest. Talk around, don't disregard it. Sweep you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. Yeah,
get your boots ready. We're about to go on a trip where we wrestle, nobody settling or calling it quits. You're here for the grit, betcha this stuff is amazing. You're stumbling, welcome to the bump in the apron. Step into it, the hardest part of the ring. Here to bring fun, yeah, and this art he is king. It's the best thing, making sure you don't tap out. Don't go soft with the hardest podcast out. And it's not just another one, it's clear. Off the rest, in this content, none contest. Take the nonsense off the steps. You know it's nothing but pure gems when it's coming off the chest. Get it? Now it's time to sit and relax. Get your mind blown away, ain't no skipping this track. Have you paying more attention, no listening gap. Get everything I ever wanted, no giving it back. Yeah.
Ooh, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I'm your host, the hardest part of the ring, known in some circles as Kyle Bird. Welcome everybody to the Apron Bump. Did I already say that? Well, you're still welcome. Man, where do we even begin today? We got a lot to talk about with ECW House Party 1996. Lots happening. But let me just before we dive balls first into this, let me just paint a picture for you guys in terms of where the hardest part of the ring is at right now. So, first of all, got married last week. It's pretty sick. I'm not gonna get into, I'm not gonna talk about the flower decor and the I can't even think of other things that were there. My wife did it all, but it was a great time. You know, we both said I do. I got her name right. It's really all you can ask for. We had a good time. But I've been very busy the past few weeks. Full transparency, all of the interviews in November, the dialogue, right? You know, the meat of the podcast. Everything that I recorded with other people was recorded either like late October, early November, everything for the rest of the month because of the wedding and Thanksgiving and my circumcision appointment, like a lot going on. I say that, not only that, but with my guests, we had both of us had to reschedule a few times. So I watched this show, ECW House Party, probably over a month ago. I would say about a month ago at this point, as I sit here talking to you guys. I also got a new camera. This all you know comes into play here. Got a new camera. Took me forever to figure this fucking thing out. Had to buy all kinds of cords. I had to buy micro HDMIs. I accidentally got a mini HDMI. I had to download certain software because it's a whole thing. Point is, a lot of effort went into setting this camera up. A lot of, the wedding planning, the wedding itself. I watched this show a month ago. I'm sitting here, my first podcast as a married man. Sit down. I'm looking at you right in your eyes, and I'm going to tell you, I'm here to introduce an episode where we talk about Jimmy Del Ray's cock a lot. That's what I remember from this episode. So, I mean, if that doesn't sell you on the episode, I don't know what will. But I mean, you got Sandman. He's here defending his title, of course, as he always is. Against Conan? Sure. Public Enemy, by the way, this whole show kind of revolves around the Public Enemy, House Party. And this is their last ECW show before they skedaddle on to WCW. So no more Public Enemy in ECW, unfortunately. But they go out with a not a bang. They don't go out with a bang. They go out with a like when it's icy on the road and you're driving a car and it's like, You like kind of skid, but it's like very slow, like a slow skid, and then you just skid into snow, and now you're just stuck there. That's how the Public Enemy leaves ECW. It's kind of just like a, um, what am I even talking about here? But we got a lot to talk about. ECW house party. There's blood. There's cum. There's people becoming pregnant. Well, they don't become pregnant on the show, I don't think. Well, one person announces their pregnancy. I mean, maybe somebody else got pregnant. I think New Jack might have gotten impregnated by Johnny Grunge at some point. There was a lot going on in the main event. But speaking of impregnation, I gave my seed in this episode. I don't know. I have two guests on this episode. We got Kevin Rogue, Duke Bags from the Year of Podcast, presented by Gorilla Brain Podcasts. You can find the Year of wherever you listen to podcasts. Super, super entertaining podcast. Duke and Rogue, both hilarious guys, very knowledgeable about wrestling as well. They kind of have a season format to their shows. Right now, they're currently in a season where they're discussing, or they're basically going through the final year or two of WCW. They're in early 2000, where they're at now as of recording this, and man, it's a time. I'm gonna tell you this: the podcast is gonna be more entertaining than watching the actual shows. But they've done a lot, mid 90s WWF, all sorts of WCW, and other stuff as well. So if you like what I do, you'll enjoy them as well. So go check out the Year of Podcast, presented by Gorilla Brain Podcasts. All the info in the description below. Follow them on social. Great follow on social media as well. And hey, if you like this type of episode, if you like the ECW, you're like, hey, hardest part of the ring. I really enjoy this first ECW pay-per-view of 1996. I sure would like to venture into the entirety of the 1995 catalog of ECW. Well, hypothetical listener, I got you. Go to apronbump.com and you can go to the episodes tab at the top and you can filter, because I cover a lot of eras, a lot of different promotions on this podcast, but you can go ahead and filter to whatever era, promotion, company, federation, kumite, or whatever it is. Filter to whatever you want. You can even filter to ECW, and that'll take you to all of the ECW shows that I've covered in chronological order, starting at November to Remember 1994, working my way all the way through 1995, and where we're at now, right in the beginning of 96. So yeah, with that, I think we should just get right to it, shall we? But first, as of recording this, there's a whole Twitter's dying thing. I think it's another Y2K kind of deal, but I don't even know where it started. I think somebody randomly just said, hey, Twitter's gonna die, and people just ran with it. But any semblance of chance of Twitter going down, make sure you follow me on the Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Hopefully maybe you're watching on YouTube. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, give this video a like, subscribe, all that shit. Follow me on all the other social medias. You can find them at the bottom if you're watching on YouTube, but Apron Bump pretty much everywhere. So do that. And yeah, let's get jiggy with it. Fucking Jimmy Del Ray, man. I have a list I'm creating. I don't know what the list is called, but it's, you got Jimmy Del Ray's on it, Jim Duggan's on it. Who else is on it? Renegade's on it. It's not a good list. It's not a list you want to be on, but I'll tell you what list you do want to be on. It's a list of people that are about to listen to this episode, and that's you. So let's get to it, everybody. ECW House Party 1996 with myself and Duke and Rogue from the Year of Duke and Rogue podcast. But yeah, boys, I'm glad to have you. It's been a long time coming. There's something kind of interesting about working this hard to talk about Hack Myers and fucking Axel Rotten, but here we are. So
right
you guys got a chance to check out House Party 1996?
Oh hell yes. Oh hell yes I did. I used to love this shit, man. And then after like getting about halfway through it, that's all I could like start fixating on was like, I used to love this. Is it my old age? Is old age catching up with me?
Mm-hmm.
I hope not. I don't know.
Were you guys watching live like during this era of ECW?
I was, yeah. It was. Well, let me take that back. This is '96, so no, it was still like try and find a tape type of a situation. So, but I was keeping up with it.
Yeah, I mean, I read the magazines. You know, that was kind of the only real insight that I had. You know, nobody had the internet and wasn't on TV. So, you know, if you're lucky, you could find a tape someplace. But
yeah, I guess you got to be local, right? Because I mean, I was very young here. I was like 3 years old, actually 2 years old during this show. So I obviously wasn't in the tape trading scene at that point. But yeah, going back and watching this stuff, I mean, it's very ECW for better or worse. You don't turn it on and you're like, is this ECW? No, it's ECW for sure from the jump.
Through. Yeah.
But yeah, any other overall thoughts on the show before we kind of get into the matches?
I was so excited because this is something that Duke and I haven't covered a year of ECW yet. So it was, for me, it was almost like a breath of fresh air because we've been covering a lot of WCW, right? So like right now we're doing the final year of WCW. So it was almost like, yes, this is going to be a palate cleanser. This is going to really like bring me back into some wrestling that I truly loved. And it certainly didn't do that for me. So that was my disappointment with that, man. When you said like House Party 96, I was excited, and just getting through it, I was like, oh no, my excitement's kind of soured.
This didn't do it for you, huh?
Nah, man, I didn't get a moon stem from this one. That's for sure.
Oh no, that's not what I want to hear. What about you, Duke? Did it tickle your pickle?
Yeah, it was, you know, like my sidekick there said, it was a breath of fresh air.
It's real fucking cute.
The fans, the fans are the almost the star of the show here. They're so loud throughout. You know, it's great seeing them give a chair or a pie or a cane or whatever they got to the wrestlers to use. You know, it's like it's the stuff you dream of. You know.
Pie, yes.
As I say, yeah, Duke's always dreaming of pie.
Oh yeah. I think Joey Styles, he was always a single guy in the booth, so that's kind of, I don't know. Joey Styles is great, but it's nice having, you know, your standard two guys there.
Yeah, in the later years, I think they brought on Joel Gertner. Is that his name? Yeah.
Oh yeah, the guy with the perpetual neck brace, right?
Right. Yeah. The stud muffin. Yeah. Yes, of course.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, outside of that is, you know, hard-hitting action. I mean, it was a show I'd never heard of, so I didn't really have any expectations going into it, and I thought there was some cool stuff for sure. So
yeah, a little dollop of cool stuff in between the bullshit here, but this opening segment is like it's like ECW in a 3-minute nutshell here. So the show opens up. You got, I think it's Joey Styles and Bill Alfonso in the ring. You got Bill Alfonso being his Alfonso self, just to like, I mean, this is early Alfonso, so I think he's even like more exaggerated than he would end up being. And Alfonso's pissed because he kind of just recently linked up with Taz, and he doesn't think Joey Styles is conducting enough interviews with Taz. So Alfonso is berating Joey Styles here, and Taz is there. He corners Joey in the ring, and is about to choke him. I think he actually does grab him by the neck, but then out comes 911 to make the save, as he does, and then Todd Gordon comes in and clocks Bill Alfonso, because that's also a thing that's happening. The locker room empties to separate 911 and Taz. Taz randomly just kills El Puerto Riqueño with a suplex, drops him right on his neck, goes back to staring down 911. And then the Eliminators come out. They clip 911 in the legs and they gang up on him. Total elimination on 911. And then Rey Mysterio comes out to make the save, but then he tries to jump on the Eliminators, but he just gets caught and slammed. And that's how we enter our opening match. So you guys turn this show on. This is the first thing you see. What'd you think?
It was way, way too active. Just way too much. Like horseshit. It was like an indie promoter on cocaine and an unlimited budget and just went, we can do everything, right? And you're like, no, it's the open of the show. And you're like, no. To open, we're going to do fucking everything. And like, it's almost like, you know how if you've listened to Dusty speak before, he talks about waking up in a cold sweat with cold sweat ideas. But somebody was always there to kind of bring him back down and they'd form it. Here it was like nobody brought Paul E back down from this cold sweat vision of having just a complete fucking car wreck to open the show. It was way too much. Just way too much.
I think you're missing the point here, Kevin Rogue.
Oh, yeah.
This is ECW, man. This is kind of
what the fuck it is.
We're not looking for a polished wrestling product. The fuck are you expecting? Come on.
I mean, what do you think the E stands for?
I mean, that is a fair point. That is a fair point. But don't you want it like, sure, give me high flying action. Give me an exciting match to kick off the show. Don't give me a giant cluster fuck of everybody was sliding one in there. Everybody. I think we had 3 total eliminations before the first fucking match. 3 before the first match. Like, get our heads out of our asses here a little bit, maybe not all the way, but halfway pull your head out of your ass, because it was just too much. I mean, being in the audience, I think might have been exciting for like the first little bit of it, but then when like the locker room comes, like everybody's leaving, everything's fucked. Taz walks away and then Taz comes back. Like, it's too much, man. It's too much. You don't want to fatigue your audience and your viewers in the opening segment of the goddamn show.
It's extreme, man.
Yeah, they're here, they're queer, and they're ready to. This sets the tone, I think, for better or worse. Whatever the tone of the show is.
Yeah, I like how you explain how there's this just hell of a melee cluster at the beginning. Everybody's down there, and for a guy like me, I'm There are several characters that I wasn't too familiar with, and it's just a bunch of random. There's 2 sides, whatever. Then it just segues into a match. Like all
You're
of a
not
sudden
familiar with El Puerto Riqueño?
No.
How dare you?
What is that? What is that? Duke, you speak Spanish. What does that translate to?
I think it's just the Puerto Rican. Maybe? I don't know.
No
Puerto Riqueño. It's probably asshole because he.
yeah.
Does he? I think he probably gets squashed in this show, right? Probably.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
or did he just get squashed in that opening segment? That's all I needed. He gets squashed in every show. But yes, like you said, that leads us into that's essentially the entrances for the opening match here. We got a tag team match. We got 911 and Rey Mysterio versus the Eliminators, the team of John Cronus and Perry Saturn. You got a problem with the team of 911 and Rey Mysterio?
Not necessarily. I was a big Eliminators guy. Big fan of the Eliminators. So the team of 911 and Mysterio is a little fucking weird, but it's the only real problem I think I had with the match itself was when they break into a chicken fight.
That was the high point of the match, I think.
Okay, that says a little bit. High point.
You got Ray flying around here, moonsaults to the floor, a couple total elimination attempts, but Ray fights out of it. At some point, the Eliminators they get the advantage, and then Taz just comes back. for whatever reason and starts choking 911 with a shirt. He does this like 2 or 3 times. He'll choke him, leave, come back, choke him again. Yeah. I think Rey Mysterio gets put through a table off camera, which is like so ECW. And then, like you said, it ends in a chicken fight. Obviously, you got Rey Mysterio on top of 911, and then the Eliminators on the other side. They play chicken, but Rey hits a Rana off of 911 onto one of the Eliminators and gets the win with a roll-up. And Saturn just obliterates Rey after this with like a Dominator slam. And then there's a bit of chicanery after the match. But I guess as far as the match itself, any other thoughts on that?
What do you think of Perry Saturn with hair?
It's jarring. The eyes straight too. I think that's what's throwing me off.
Yeah. It caught me off guard at first. It's hell of a mane he's got. I mean,
He's a thick boy too.
I thought maybe like, I was thinking of a different guy at first because I didn't remember him with the long hair.
Well, yeah, you prefer your Perry Saturn like I do, man. No hair and in jean shorts. That's how you want to see your Perry Saturn.
The mop
in his hand.
Yeah. Well, not with the mop in his hand.
Yeah, giving it a little stroke ski. I get it.
Well, maybe
I'm
a
not
little
kink shaming
stroke.
you.
Not a well. I mean, I'm not opposed to a stroke ski, but it was not. I don't know. It wasn't. It didn't satisfy me. That's for sure.
Did Francine getting the total elimination satisfy you?
A little bit. A little bit. She takes that so like it's so scary when they give that to her because she fucking crumples like just
so violent.
Crumples, yeah, extremely violent. And hats off to her for taking that the way she does because that is not a comfortable position for your body to be in and to hit the mat the way she did. Hats off to Francine for many reasons, but the total elimination is definitely one of them.
It's one of those moves you just got to stand there and take it. Yeah. Because after the match, because the Eliminators are ganging up on Rey, so this brings out the Pit Bulls who take out the Eliminators, and Francine's with them. The Eliminators take out the Pit Bulls, total elimination to Francine, and then they stretcher Francine out. So yeah, it seems like the match here was just kind of a kind of foreplay to the climax, which was Francine getting demolished, which checks all the ECW boxes, I think. So
I mean, it's a tour de force to start the show for sure.
Yes.
I mean, it gives you.
That's one way to describe it.
Do you think? I bet Taz after every time he came back, right? Like Paulie was probably watching the thing on the monitor and then just sending him back out there because he does leave and come back a few times. You mentioned that.
Yes.
But it doesn't make any sense to do it this way. If you want to get to Francine taking total elimination, right? Mm-hmm. Why do you have that many detours to get there? It doesn't make any sense, right? I'm in Minnesota, and it's like somebody said, "Hey, man, the goal is to get to Canada." And I said, "Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to have to stop at Florida. And then since I'm in Florida, I might as well shoot over to Texas. Then I'm going to go over to New York. Since I'm in New York, you know what? Second thought, I should probably hit San Francisco. And once I'm in San Francisco, I'll go to Colorado, I'll hang out in Colorado, and then I'll shoot up to Canada. Just drive to fucking Canada."
Well, you see, Kevin, this is a house party. There's a lot of things going on at a house party. You got the dildo in the ass, and then people are drinking beer over here. So that's what this represents. I think that's my analysis. Tour de force.
I'm okay with that. The opening is a dildo in the ass.
Yeah. So when you really just look at it with that perspective, I think it all becomes clear.
And on our show, we always say slide one in there. So
exactly.
Here's to you.
There we go. It's all coming together. So am I. So this next match we have a debut in this next match. We got Axel Rotten versus Rob Van Dam coming out here in a gi and a black belt because anybody that can do kicks has to be a caricature of a karate man of some sort. A little bit question though. How familiar are you guys with the Rottens, Axel and Ian, and their matches that they had together in the mid-90s?
Oh, are you talking like the Taipei deathmatch bullshit?
That was the peak of it.
Yeah. I'm familiar. Not a huge fan, but definitely familiar.
No, they're a couple pretty violent folks.
Didn't they
Right.
they got in some trouble too, didn't they? Later on?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think so. That checks out. Without having to do research, I believe it. But yeah, Axel and Ian, they literally, it was like a couple month span where every show it'd be some sort of gimmick match. It'd be like a barbed wire bat match, a barbed wire chair match, a hair match, and then of course the Taipei death match was the culmination of that. And that's where Axel Rotten is here to put over Rob Van Dam, I guess. But this match, it was a weird one. I guess maybe it's because in hindsight, we know the star that Rob Van Dam would end up being. It was weird seeing Axel get so much offense in.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What were your thoughts on this match?
RVD, man. Even back then, just smooth as hell. Just smooth as hell as an in-ring performer. Mm-hmm. And his entire moveset wasn't all there yet, but you could see what he was working with and what he was building upon and the athleticism that he possessed. I mean, for early Rob Van Dam, man, there's not many that operated as smooth as he did with the kind of outrageous offense that he had. A huge fan of his work. Rotten, on the other hand, not as much. The thing that I pulled away from this match, as far as Rotten goes, is an ugly elbow. Like, he does not have one of those great. He doesn't have one of those great elbows, right? He doesn't. You talk about top list of elbows, he's nowhere near it.
He's got a hell of a lariat.
If you talk about physical, like the look of his elbow, or like how he was, or what was he doing? I don't remember. Was it like a top rope elbow?
It was a flying elbow, yeah, and it was ugly, man. It was just ugly. And I'm guessing, without actually going back and taking a second look, he's probably got a very unattractive elbow.
Yeah, probably one of the worst. That's actually a really good point.
It was interesting to see him before the RVD thing,
right. Yeah.
I guess he's kind of an unknown here, which I thought was.
It seemed like it because the crowd didn't seem to know who he was, and the ECW crowd is generally pretty in tune with like Japan and all that. I don't know what Rob Van Dam did before this, but
yeah, there was a "Let's Go Rob" chant by like one guy that I picked up on. I love the chants. There's constant chants in this thing, but yeah, just kind of like big picture. It's pretty crazy because this is the beginning of '96, and really, I guess the glory days of ECW was really only a couple of years. Within a few months here, RVD is going to be a big star. And then within a year, he's Mr. Monday Night when ECW does everything happens pretty quickly.
Boy, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Like, this is '96. This is RVD debuting in ECW, and within the year, he is one of their top stars, and they're trusting him enough to invade Monday Night Raw with him being part of that. That really speaks to how great Paul Heyman is at building somebody up into something that's
talent.
Super marketable, super creative. Yeah.
On the theme of the house party, though, I think you were onto something when you were describing the melee at the beginning. Like, there's probably a lot of cocaine involved at this time.
A decent amount, yeah.
Which I guess would explain a lot of that, But yeah, it's that's kind of a little side tangent there. But his what was I going to say? Yeah, super impressive debut for sure. Enjoyed the "Let's Go Rob" chant, and you just kind of saw a preview of basically what he does.
Yeah, and like you guys said, it was surprising how good he was at this point, because I thought he would like build up to become great, and of course he does have. He will get better from where he is at this point, but yeah, he was still pretty much Rob Van Dam. I mean, the moves he was doing, he was throwing planches to the outside, martial arts kicks from the top rope, standing moonsaults, like all this stuff that kind of seems mundane maybe in the eyes of 2022, but back then, I mean, it was crazy to see this kind of stuff. And RVD ends up winning with a split-legged moonsault, so he's not doing the 5-star yet, but still has that split-legged moonsault. And Joey Styles on commentary says that the cocky RVD wins, which I feel like Axel was being the cocky one throughout this match. But
That is a weird thing to say for who, RVD has got to be the baby face in this match. So
I was the whole time. That's what I thought, but apparently that wasn't the idea.
It's a weird thing to say. Don't bury your baby face at the end.
Just
He turned out all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose he did.
But following that up with a title match, you got one thing?
Yeah, can I ask you guys something? Is Van Dam his real last name? Do you know?
Good question.
Because if it's not, then this was obviously just his character was obviously gimmicked after that actor.
I don't think that it is. I'm fairly certain it's not, but I can't say with 100% certainty.
You know what I'm talking about, right? The Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's what it would be from because he kind of looks like the guy, same sorts of maneuvers. I don't know.
I think that was the idea. Yeah.
So.
But apparently he's Polish or something because his name is Robert Alexander Szkatowski.
Yes.
SZATHOWSKI.
SKI, so he's Polish for sure. Man.
That's someone that on this
Learned something
podcast
today.
that is now canonly his name. Rob
I was gonna say
Szkatowski.
it's always like the Rob Szkatowski.
Well, thanks for that knowledge, man. I appreciate it.
Hey man, I'm here to educate. And so is Mikey Whipwreck, the ECW TV champion. He's defending the belts against Too Cold Scorpio. So this is actually a rematch of the previous show. And me watching both matches, they were kind of the same, or at least the endings were different, but everything else is kind of similar. What are your guys' thoughts on Mikey Whipwreck? As I'm watching these, I'm starting to think I don't really like Mikey Whipwreck, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
So if you follow his entire story, it is hard not to cheer for him. Just as somebody that was like, how he got in was he was just a ring hand, and he worked ring crew, and his payment for ring crew was they allowed him to fly around the ring a little bit, pick things up, and learn a little bit. And I think that the ECW fans knew that, and they found that to be super endearing, and so they wanted to cheer for him. So from that standpoint, yeah, hard not to cheer for him. At the same time, he's not super entertaining. Right. He didn't really get super. I don't know if he was ever super good in the ring, but he didn't ever get like decent in the ring until later on, like when he started like doing tags with Tajiri, and he started working with the Sinister Minister. So at this point, it's a really weird fucking thing. He looks like a backyard wrestler, but I think that's part of the character is to look like a backyard wrestler. It's hard to really get into.
That's my thing though. He's obviously portraying this backyard, this frumpy dude that doesn't belong, but he's at this point like a Grand Slam champion. He just lost the world title. He's been I think he's actually also tag team champion here. He's a double champion. He wins all the time. So it's like at what point are you not an underdog? And are you just an asshole wrestling in a shirt?
That's a really good point. Really good point. I want to counterpoint you on that, but I can't. Like you're absolutely right. At a certain point,
I also might be sour because I've watched a lot of them in Ring of Honor, and I don't know. He just annoys me in Ring of Honor. He's just a bigger version of this, and he's just buries everybody. It's a whole thing. But
yeah, gotcha.
Does he got like the same sort of underdog gimmick story as Tommy Dreamer? Is it that type of thing, or is it different?
No, it's different.
I don't know if Tommy's really I guess kind of an underdog, but I think he's more in the mix than Mikey is. He looks like a wrestler.
Right. Yeah, see, and I think Mikey was more of like an underdog in wrestling, and Tommy ended up. He didn't start that way, but he ended up kind of almost being like an underdog in life. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the difference there in my opinion.
Something that I've noticed though with ECW, I mean, you got your guys like your Axel Rotten and Mikey, but there's enough like great athletes to pair with these guys.
Yeah,
you know that it works out.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Even at this point, I mean, WCW Nitro is still pretty early on, and they've been plucking all, like Eddie Guerrero, Benoit, Dean Malenko, so. They're honestly, ECW's kind of short on the athletic guys at this point, but they still got your Scorpios and Rob Van Dam, even though at this point maybe they didn't know what they had. But yeah, the ECW is generally pretty good at giving you at least like one or two really good like technique based, whatever you got, work rate matches amongst the cocaine and blow and hookers. So.
Well, with Scorpio there, man, you know that there's all those things are going to be present. The open to this, the promo, couldn't get into it at all. Scorpio saying that Mikey's got another thing coming multiple times. Like, no, you can only beat
you like you've never been beaten before. There's all the like generic.
Yep.
Threats.
Got another thing. He told him he got another thing coming like 2 or 3 times. And I was like, no, you can't have multiple other things coming. I want one thing coming at one time. All right. And then we'll move on to the next thing. But he just kept on telling me, you got another thing coming. I was like, geez, how much coming is going on?
So you're not a bukkake guy, is what I'm gathering.
Boy, you know, there's a time and a place, and in the ring is not that time or place.
No. A dorm room with a waffle in the middle is the place, I think.
Yeah, exactly. At least a waffle maker in the room.
Right.
Speaking of which, are we going to mention who's accompanying Too Cold Scorpio?
Well, I'll lead into that with a line from Joey Styles. I wonder if woman mouths off like that at home, she'd be doomed and put in a dungeon.
I wrote that down, too.
So good. Joey Styles
line.
is a gem. But yeah, woman out there with Scorpio. I guess it's like she's with Scorpio, but also Sandman. So I guess she's kind of I guess that's how managers were in the back in the day. They had several clients.
Oh yeah. Some of us still do.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is. Were you a fan of woman in Scorpio? The pairing there.
Well, she's been kind of a mainstay with our program the past few years.
Right.
She
Yes.
must have been doing both promotions at this time. They kind of seemed to overlap here.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because I know like Bash at the Beach time frame, she's with WCW. I guess before that too, and we're almost there. We're only a few months away from that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what happens with her, and maybe she just fades away. I guess that tends to happen. But
So does she have a stable, or is it just several guys?
I think it's pretty much a Scorpio and Sandman. I think things get a little. My wires get tied with all the factions and wrestling sometimes, so maybe I just forget. But
yeah, she's a. Initially, when we started reviewing shows with her on it, she would just yell for the whole match, and it was quite annoying. But she plays the role great. I think maybe even better in ECW. I'd have to watch a little bit more, I guess, but there's obviously more kind of leeway with. We'll see later when Sandman's whipping out the Singapore cane. You know, you probably don't see that kind of stuff out of WCW.
not really, not at this point at least.
But plus, she's like the only gal in her and Francine, I suppose, probably in the whole fucking building.
Can't forget Beulah McGuillicutty.
Right.
She has a bit of a
Beulah's there,
segment later.
Oh, right, she is.
Yeah.
Okay, don't listen to me.
But
You
you're right, those
usually
are my
don't.
three.
I like women's inclusion here. How about that?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to put it.
That's not very 1996 of you. But so the crowd's. I guess Too Cold Scorpio has put on weight. I mean, he looks in shape to me, but there's a JYD chance. there's a. Scorpio hits a moonsault, and there's a sign in the background that says "Pigs can fly."
I saw that, and I didn't put that together because I didn't catch the chance. But that is fucking brutal by that crowd. I think he looks in fine shape as well.
Right.
It's like he's not strutting like he did in WCW before this, but he's not far off. Call him a pig, man. That's out of bounds.
But yeah, I mean the match itself. So my thing with Scorpio that annoyed me in this match, he'll do a move and then he'll signal for the 450 and then he'll do anything else other than the 450. He'll like do this and then he'll just like start punching him and then suplex him and all that stuff. And like the match, it's like Scorpio dominates, but he doesn't want to pin him. Like he'll start pinning and he'll pick his shoulder up, and it's just like relentlessly like that over and over again. But ultimately, Scorpio hits a tombstone power slam. He goes to the top, hits the moonsault, but lets Mikey up at too, because and I should say that their match that they had in the previous show, this was the same thing that happened, and Mikey ended up rolling him up for the win. So it's like the Scorpio now learned his lesson. But then ultimately, Mikey starts fighting back, hits a crossbody from the ring into the crowd onto Scorpio, which is nuts. And then Scorpio hits a back suplex in the ring off the top rope. Mikey hits the ref on the way down, knocks the ref out. And then Raven comes out and DDTs Mikey, and this allows Scorpio to hit Mikey with a power bomb and a moonsault leg drop. Crazy. And that gives Scorpio the win, and he's the new TV champion. So lots going on here. But what'd you guys think of it?
That was great. The part that bothered you, I loved, because he was doing it he was toying with the fans. Everybody wanted to see him do that, and he was always pretty much a face prior to ECW.
Yeah.
So he's taunting. It's almost like when Cactus Jack was doing the he's hardcore bit, right? And he wasn't giving them what they wanted. So kind of the same. Like that part, I love. Like
I guess he worked me, huh?
Yeah,
Shit.
fucking the fans over. Like, you guys want to see it, right? And everybody's like, yeah, we want to see it. Well, I'm not going to give it to you. Like that part of it is brilliant. I love it. Scorpio overall is always fun to watch. In-ring performer. That moonsault leg drop bit that he does is fucking mind blowing. A guy with that athleticism, especially coming up with moves like that at this time, just
Especially a fat guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I I enjoyed this match. You know, Mikey's got 2-3 moves maybe. That's all he really needed, because Scorpio has several more than that are just outstanding to watch. And I really enjoyed this match. Yeah, that backflip leg drop was great. Hit him with a couple of good kicks, and then.
Like a chair gets involved at some point. It gets like set up, and then someone gets bulldogged onto it. I forget.
Bulldog to the chair, yep.
Yeah.
The flying man into the crowd. That's kind of a staple of ECW. It's always nice to see.
Yeah. Little fan participation. You love to see it.
So woman's got all the gold here.
That's what she's there for. I guess seems kind of cheating to just pick the champions to manage, and then now you all of a sudden have all the champions. But to each their own. To each their own.
Yep, to eat his bone.
Yeah, what's up? Well, speaking of which, Hag Myers sure ate Taz's bone, because good God Almighty. So, are you guys familiar with the Shah?
Boy, what was he had a different gimmick, I want to say. I don't recall.
He's always been the Shah to me, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with him, but certainly not a big fan of his.
I got a question mark next to the Shah. So,
what's your question? What is there not to get?
Is this just a name? If it's just a name, I get it.
I think I actually did this last time. What is the definition of Shah? Because that'll just give you all the answers. All right, Shah, a royal that was historically used by leading figures of Iranian monarchies. Okay, I guess he's Iranian.
Yeah,
I would assume.
The name like Hack Myers? No way.
I think he just hacks people. So I don't know.
Yeah, the only reason why I knew Shah at all is because Iron Sheik was actually the bodyguard for the Shah years ago.
Like Hack Myers? He was Hack Myers' bodyguard? That's good to know. That's a fun fact.
Actual Shah of Iran.
Are you implying to me that Hack Myers is not an actual Shah?
Not the Shah of Iran. Maybe the Shah of Philly, which
All right, you know what?
How much royalty is there?
Look, they need a Shah, and he was there to Shah them. So,
but there's one thing that we cannot address, or that we have to address. We can't move forward without addressing. However, I'm supposed to say it. I fucked it up. It's okay. The referee. Can we talk just a minute about this referee wearing wind pants and your standard issue fucking sneakers? Like, I get it, right? I understand wear sneakers that are comfortable, but you're an official. right? Don't put on your windbreakers and go to the match. And how annoying would that be as an in-ring performer? Just listen to swish, 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 the entire match. I have no idea who this official is, but I could do away with him. If I was the Shah, you wouldn't see him again.
Do you just have a problem with windbreaker pants in general? Like in your daily life, you go to like a convenience store, there's some guy with the shika pants, and you just
let me cut you right to the core. Do you like windbreakers?
I don't really have much of an opinion either way. I've never really had a good or bad thought about them.
Maybe that's the problem.
You know what?
You gotta start thinking about them.
Back in the day, as a young lad, I actually wore the ones that you like zip off and they become shorts.
Oh, man,
so now not only am I wearing them, I can do the up in the air with them.
Yeah, you're a stone cold stunner back then, huh? Stone cold pimp, number one stunner. That's you.
Going in that sport mode, some may say.
I couldn't stand him. I saw him in the opening segment, and he caught my eye, and I went, "Oh, I hate that motherfucker." And then he comes out for this match to ref it, and I was like, "No. It's okay if you're out there for the bullshit."
Right.
But don't actually be involved. Like, don't actually have a job to do. Because, I mean, look the part. Just look the part a little bit. Like a little bit. Windbreakers don't help you with that.
Understood. You said earlier that it was like halfway through the show where it started going downhill for you. Was it tied to this guy's pants?
Could be. That's a fair assessment.
That's fair. You know, that takes a star away from any match is the pantery of the ref. It's all good. But I don't think Hack Myers was paying too much attention to it because he was getting all kinds of CTE and broken necks throughout this entire match. It's pretty much just a showcase for Taz. He's kind of recently transitioned from like the Taz maniac and just kind of a regular guy into this killer. So it's pretty much just a showcase for Taz and what he can do. He's doing all sorts of, head and arm Taz plexes and all these intricate suplex. The clash of styles here was hilarious because Taz was doing all these like judo throws and these holds, and then you just have Hack doing his shitty jabs at Taz. But of course, Taz wins with the Taz mission for a quick tap out, and it comes out looking like a monster. What do you guys think about it?
Taz, he's a bad man, that's for sure. He's out there with Bill Alfonso blowing the whistle. He does. He did it in the opening package. I mean, it's so over the top. It's almost a parody of a heel manager. It's just so annoying, but it's you love to hate him, right? He comes out. He's wearing the damn Emmett Smith jersey. Should mention this son of a bitch took place in Philadelphia, so that's
hey, you got your son of a bitch call.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just kind of Taz Masterclass Part 2, because he already came out there and kicked ass. So I mean, always cool to see Taz. His career was cut shorter than it should have been. So it's kind of cool to see him in his prime here, I guess.
I would say so, yeah.
All sorts of suplexes.
Yeah. No, Taz
I didn't think Hack stood a chance, really.
Well, no, of course not. Taz is a complete and total badass to like the nth degree. He is, as far as his in-ring work, I always thought his in-ring work was really crisp. I have always enjoyed Taz's work, especially here. He just brought a different element into the ring with him that you weren't getting a lot of anywhere else. Nobody really brought his style in, but him, and I really loved Taz. As much as I loved Taz, I hated Bill Alfonso and that goddamn whistle. There was nothing good about the whistle. It was while watching this, it reminded me, it'd be like if you gave Jimmy Hart a whistle. That's exactly what you would expect. Just jumping everywhere and nonstop blowing the whistle. I wish somebody would have taken that away from him. I hated it. Almost as much as Windbreaker Pants.
There's so much you're hating in this match.
Close. Yeah,
you're not even looking at the wrestling.
Yeah, good heel work by the two non-wrestlers in this one.
That ref got great heat. Shit, man. Yeah, I totally agree about Taz because I mean, like, MMA isn't nearly as mainstream back then as it is now. So when you got guys like Taz and guys like RVD, I guess that's why they both became such big deals, is because it's such a unique thing at the time, especially in pro wrestling, at least American wrestling, I guess.
Yeah.
But speaking of American wrestling, we got a great representation of that in this next match. We got the Gigalo. Yes, sir. Jimmy Del Ray. That's the biggest pop Jimmy Del Ray's ever gotten in his life.
Hold your fucking tongue. All right? Jimmy Del Ray is a goddamned national treasure.
Is he,
right?
though?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Okay.
He is the greatest wrestler maybe in ECW's history.
He's not the greatest wrestler in the heavenly bodies.
Well, it's been nice chatting with you, man. Where's the click and see you later link here? What's the... Oh, man, Jimmy Del Ray, the Gigalo Jimmy Del Ray, man. He is so. Yeah. Let me give you a little insight into who I am as a person. I have a 1-of-1 custom Sam Evans art piece of Gigalo Jimmy Del Ray in my master bedroom.
You know why it's 1-of-1? Because you're the only one that's asked for it.
I bet you're one of one guys who has that in your bedroom.
Well, you're two of two cocksuckers that don't know better, because there is Gigalo Jimmy. All right, he is boy. Well, Heavenly Bodies especially my favorite tag team ever, and Gigalo Jimmy he just greased that wheel, baby. Every time he was in the ring, he was greasing.
It was, yeah.
Oh man.
Whew. Is that the reason we were invited on for this show?
Yeah, well-known Jimmy Del Ray marks is like, I need this.
Because,
I need this in this show.
Kevin's got kind of, I'd say, borderline unhealthy affinity for the Gigalo, but
seems like it. So I'm learning.
Why don't you tell us about how great he was in this one, there, guy?
This match, I'll tell you this. This match sucked so much that they cut most of it. It was just highlights. First of all, we should say, who's Jimmy Del Ray facing? He's facing Bubba Ray Dudley, the one of the hottest acts in ECW at this point for some fucking reason. Got his stutter going. Oh, who's he with? He's not out there alone. He's got Big Dick. He's got Chubby. He's got Dances With. He's got Sign Guy. Among others, I'm sure. Devon's not there yet, but Bubba's here to face off against Jimmy Del Ray. Bubba, to Jimmy Del Ray's credit, he gets out of the stutter bomb, which is my favorite move of all time. It's a power bomb, but he stutters picking him up. But yeah, like I said, they cut. It's just like almost like a highlight reel kind of a match. At some point, Mr. Hughes is in the ring, which, by the way, Jimmy Del Ray is with Mr. Hughes. I guess they're a thing. Bubba's giving a splash to Mr. Hughes off the top rope. And does the match even have a finish? I don't even know if I noted the finish. How does this match end? Tell me.
Well, first of all, I'm gonna have to correct you here. Please. The match was not spliced together because of anything but Peacock and vulgarity. So let's make sure we're right there.
Well, what was the vulgarity that we missed?
I wish I could tell you, but Peacock cut it out.
They didn't cut out the Taipei death match, so I'm leaning towards you're full of shit.
You can lean whatever way you want; doesn't make you right. So it was. I mean, there was a swinging DDT, and then they transitioned. Then there was another Bubba DDT, and then there was a transition. I don't know what they were doing, transitioning away from the greatness that is Gigalo Jimmy Del Ray. I don't know. I can't answer that.
Yeah, it's unanswerable.
Yeah. So and then they kind of celebrated. They transitioned to the celebration. I don't know what the ending was. I'm in my mind, Gigalo Jimmy definitely went over and had a great time doing so. That's what I'm sticking with as well.
Well, as long as it happened in your mind, I think that's all that really matters.
Yeah, Gigalo is not victorious.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Just all the dreams get crushed.
Okay, so we get to see Bubba Ray Dudley doing a jiggle thing, and Gigalo Jimmy doesn't even. You think maybe that's why they cut it out? Because he was doing his Gigalo Jimmy, and it was too, sexy for TV.
Well, I was gonna say
that what you're getting at?
if he's doing the gigolo, right? He's doing his jiggle wiggle. There's gonna be cleanups across households across America because that is a moist spot, right? He is Dev, he's greasing up household to household if that's broadcast on TV.
Yeah,
At least
Mr.
your
Hughes, yeah, I don't know how they became buds. I guess that doesn't. It's just Gigalo Jimmy here. There isn't the Heavenly Bodies aren't.
So the Heavenly Bodies were there in ECW as a team. I forget what happened with Tom Pritchard, or I'm sorry, with Zip. But at this point, he is Zip and the Body Donnas. So I never really cared to research it. I'm not a big Heavenly Bodies guy, so I didn't really think to dive deeper into it. I was like, oh, Zip's gone. Now it's just got dumbass Jimmy here with Mr. Hughes for some reason.
You don't got the tag team on your wall.
I can't say that I do, but
I don't either.
what about you, Kevin? Do you?
Yeah. Big
yeah,
ass painting, 1 of 1, man.
Right in the,
Right, of
my
course.
master
Bedroom, actually my side of the bed. So when I wake up every morning and get out of bed, the first thing I see is Dr. Tom Pritchard and Gigalo Jimmy Del Ray. Man, that's why I'm so happy all the time.
Is it on your ceiling?
No, the wife wouldn't let me put it on the ceiling.
Right, that'd be ridiculous.
Right? Yeah.
What a silly question for me to ask. But maybe Mr. Hughes is there because he's got somebody that's going to teach Bubba some proper English. And who better than a dean to do that? The return of Shane Douglas to ECW. He says he's been in purgatory and that things need to change around here. So I guess the franchise is back. He slaps Bubba, and the former Intercontinental Champion, I guess, was not too happy with his WWF run.
Yeah, with good reason.
Yeah.
I've never seen Shane or Dean Douglas happy, ever.
That's a good point.
He is always pissed. I mean, it works for him. You know.
Yeah.
Works for him as a character.
Maybe he should get a painting of the Heavenly Bodies in his room.
That would just make everybody happy, right?
That-
But it's 1 of 1, though, so, like, you know.
It's true. I could take a picture and send it to him.
Is that an NFT? Is that what that is?
Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should just I should take a picture of my Heavenly Bodies, and then I'll tweet at him. Here you go, Shane. Have a good day.
With no
I might
context.
do that. Yeah. That's not bad.
Could turn everything around for him.
He's kind of an ungrateful prick, really, bitching about you know. He was given the Intercontinental title.
Right.
It was given to him.
Well, I mean,
Just
the
be
9,
happy with your life, man.
the 9 sailors that sodomized Shawn Michaels, I think, were to do with that, I think. But that's neither here nor there. But
Right.
we got a little segment here with Joey Styles. He's in the ring with dancing Stevie Richards. And Stevie's, of course, got Blue Meanie and Beulah McGuillicutty with him. And Stevie's like, no longer dancing Stevie Richards, which, by the way, I've never once heard him called dancing Stevie Richards, but, you know. He says, I'm now Studley Steve, the king of swing. It's going on about Missy Hyatt. I guess he titty fucked Missy Hyatt at some point. I don't know.
Had a boy, Studley Steve.
Yeah, they'll call him Studley Steve for a reason. He says he's the new American male, and he says he wants to kiss Beulah, so he just goes over there and tries to kiss her. Then Beulah says she doesn't want to be touched, and she shoves Stevie. And Stevie's like, "Is it because you're Raven's girlfriend?" And she's like, "No, it's because I'm pregnant." Raven comes out. Raven's pissed because he thinks it's his baby. Raven calls her
That's
an
the right
idiot.
response, too. I'm going to throw that out there.
One pill at a time, idiot. It says it right on the box. That's what Raven said, by the way, not me.
Right.
And Beulah's like, what do you care? It's not yours. So obviously it's got to be Stevie's, right? So Raven starts beating up Stevie. And Beulah's like, no, it's not his either. Oh, then everybody's like, what? whose is it? And she says, it's Tommy's. So Tommy, who pile drove Beulah a couple weeks ago, apparently right afterwards, gave her his seed. Pile drove her again, huh? Am I right or am I wrong, everybody?
It's a pile driver than a load driver.
Yeah, ooh, okay. When me and my wife are ready to have kids, that's how I'm gonna. Can I give you a load driver tonight?
Yeah, gonna try my new move. Got a load driver. This is such a classic fucking ECW segment. This was on like all of the hype videos and stuff like that. It's her yelling, "I'm pregnant." Like such a classic, like memorable scene for ECW. And then you watch it back and you're like, wow. Stevie's gonna catch charges doing that. He can't be doing that. Like not okay. I loved the shot at the American males. I thought that was fucking hilarious. It was
like, what did the American males do? What did Buff Bagwell ever do to Stevie?
Oh boy, what he didn't do or what he did do, it's hard to say. But
yeah,
it was. I loved the segment itself. Once it got to the like, I'm pregnant, right? Then it took off for me. Up until then, like just listening to Stevie wasn't super into it. Now, the breaking news that he was titty fucking Missy Hyatt, gives me a little bit more pleasure in it. And then obviously the pile driver to the load driver, I'm finding more and more appreciation to the entire thing. So, but overall classic segment that is still kind of like, it's not a miss. It's not an entire miss.
No, I mean, this whole feud was pretty, it was a high point at this point for ECW, I think.
Yeah, Studley Steve, he's kind of an underrated character. He's good on the mic. He's got moves. Blue Meanie, he doesn't really do anything, but a hell of a sidekick. Pretty simple get up with their short shorts and their half shirts. It's just funny to look at them,
Yeah.
And yeah, it's I think it's a good segment for sure. I enjoyed it.
Not for women though, necessarily.
No, not the best.
No,
yeah.
This wouldn't be a.
How about Joey Styles though? This guy's calling the action by himself and he's interviewing folks.
The cardio on this man is ridiculous. He has to run back and forth all the time. God,
he's making this show happen, really.
Yeah, and this is pre-Peloton, so he's really getting after it.
That's
somewhere.
Actually a very good point. Yeah, I didn't really think about it that way. So this segment, it was good. I think it could have used a little bit more pies. Oh wait, no, it did have a pie. So Tommy comes out because Beulah's just getting berated by Raven. How could you do this? And then Tommy comes out to save her. Beulah gets a frying pan at some point. I don't know if Tommy hands it to her or someone from the crowd throws it or whatever the hell. Hits Stevie and Meanie in the head with this frying pan. Then Tommy and Raven start going at it. There's somebody that brings a Tommy use my sign. Oh, yeah. Tommy hits Raven with it and DDTs him onto it. And he takes off like the paper that's around it. It's a stop sign, which is fun. And then someone apparently brought a pie to the arena. And Tommy grabs the pie. And does he pile drive Raven or Stevie Richards on the pie? I forget. Someone gets pile driven on a pie. That's all we really need to know.
I didn't write down who it was that received it. I just wrote down pile driver on pie.
Yeah.
Probably Studley Steve.
Yeah.
I just like that name. I'm going to keep saying it.
It's never too late to make that catch on. For now on, when we see Stevie Richards, Studley Steve.
Studley Steve.
And then, so somebody has pie on their hair. Probably pretty pissed about that. Tommy and Beulah hug. And then,
do you suppose that there was any kind of security at the door?
Checking weapons.
That. Yeah.
Why you think that it's like the fucking Beagle Boys bringing a nail file in with their pie?
Well, that's like what that sign was.
That's a good
stop
point.
Sign wrapped in a sign, man.
Ooh.
I would guess that was a plant, though. The pie, I think, is probably more welcoming, but I think the side had to be.
What's this?
To be a pie.
It's a pie. Why you got a pie? In case I get hungry later, asshole. Leave me alone.
Right, or maybe they had a bake sale, an ECW bake sale before the event. Trying to raise some funds. Makes sense.
Do you think the wrestlers baked?
I hope so.
What do you think Jimmy Del Ray would bake at a bake sale?
Oh boy, just anything he does is fantastic. I figured Jimmy to be like an oatmeal raisin cookie guy because it's a treat, but it's also
Right.
a sensible treat. So, and he
That's
cares
how he's
about your
so-
health.
Yeah, that's why he's so. That's why he's a gigolo, right?
Right,
He's not a
yeah.
gigolo. He's a gigolo.
Right.
By the way, I was praying you would say cream pie, but you know.
I thought about it, but that was the easy joke, and I didn't want to take it.
Oh, easy joke. Oh, fuck you. So we got. Well,
So Tommy knocked up Beulah.
yeah. Speaking of cream pies,
Yeah, there it is.
there it
Yep.
is. We're all having
Came
fun.
around.
So we
So that's pretty big, right?
I don't know. He wasn't doing me.
I like how you like looked at me when you said that.
I was waiting for you. You got cheap joke there, buddy? Is that what you
Nope.
got?
Nothing. No low hanging fruit for me. Not this time. But we got some Conan in this next match for some reason. Very colorful Conan. He's here fighting for the ECW world title against the champion, the Sandman. Of course, accompanied by Woman.
Woman!
Woman!
I had to get it in there.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
had
I
to.
appreciate it.
You had to.
Conan with the title shot.
Yeah, what'd you guys think of Conan's his look here? I guess it's like his classic look before the Dungeon of Doom and the whatever the hell with Rey
Before
Mysterio.
Cholo Conan debuted,
Right.
He was
Yes.
this is classic Conan. I didn't care for the look, but it was a look.
It was Joey Styles says that he's covered probably 1,000 Conan matches and he wears something different every time, which I've only probably seen 15 of them on our quest through WCW.
Yeah.
But I've not seen this particular getup, so I mean, who am
Mm-hmm.
I to say that he's wrong? But yeah, he's got black and it's a black and red wrestling garment.
A lot of
With like
tassels.
with this blue jacket cape thing with the fucking gold mask. It doesn't match at all. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I do like his, it's I guess it's part of his shtick. He's a rare Mexican guy without a mask, so he's got this other weird shit happening. But great wrestler. I didn't expect to see him, wrestling the Sandman for the title, so this was a treat.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of just randomly popping in here. It's not even like this is a match that's been built up. It was just, kind of a showcase match. But yeah, to your point, great wrestler Conan, and that's kind of how the match starts with some like shoot wrestling, just like amateur wrestling style. Sandman, he slides out of the ring. He looks at the camera and says, "You think you can out wrestle me, Conan? You got another thing coming." It's like,
Again.
why is he?
Again.
Why is
Fucking
he
what is everybody's listening to Judas Priest in the back all of a sudden?
Hey,
What the
man.
fuck?
It's the era of grunge. Let me tell you, they're all anti-authority, clearly. But oh, by the way, there's also a "Bischoff's gonna fuck you" chant. I guess Conan's on his way to WCW, or he's fucking Bischoff, one of the two.
That
And
might have been a package deal. Yeah.
That was a rider that was
sad.
put in.
Yep.
Yeah, I like
yeah,
it.
no, I get it. I get it. Good amount of blood in this match. It got pretty physical. We got some tables in this match, some chairs, some barricade shots. At one point, Sandman, he sets a table up in the ring, and eventually Conan ends up reversing a superplex from Sandman into like a gourd buster through the table. And Woman gets involved towards the end. She hits Conan in the back with the cane. And at some point, both Sandman and Conan both have canes in their hand. They're like sword fighting, basically. And eventually, they both hit each other in the face at the same time, knocking each other out. It's a double knockout, folks. Thoughts?
Boy. So I loved the way it started with the great wrestling of Conan. He had a great submission, like a deathlock variation early in this match that looked really nice. But then it just devolves like so much of the ECW matches do, and that part of it, it started to lose me when Sandman sat down on the table and the table broke. That fucking made me laugh like nobody's business. Like, I understand like they have to gimmick the tables, but like when you see that, like is it overly gimmicked? I don't know what causes that, or did Sandman not weight training as much as he normally would? I don't know. There was one thing in here that fucking got me just riled up. Oh, Sandman. So I was always a fan of Sandman, but the wrestling in Zubas, man, it just, it just, there's just something there that in this match particular, it just kind of, it made me feel a certain way. Like, dress for the job you want, and that's certainly not what he was. He's a world champion. Fix it up a little bit.
He's wearing the knockoff Air Jordan sneakers too.
Yeah, it just
well, he's an athlete.
Yeah, he's an athlete.
It needs to be aerodynamic. Oh, well, how is Conan and his tassels and his colorful is all of his colors into one singlet? Like, how is that? Okay, but you have Sandman and his perfectly aesthetically pleasing pants. You have a very particular taste of pants, is what I'm learning.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true. That part of it, I don't. And he always wrestled in like fucking Zubas or jeans, and I prefer the jeans over the Zubas. The Zubas don't look fucking right, and they look like they're gonna fall off. I was a little worried that we were gonna see his little nighty night there. Obviously we didn't, but. So that was, and then the finish with the double knockout, and then Sandman getting to his feet first was fine, except for they just went through a fucking wicked battle back and forth with all of the extracurricular bullshit, and that is how it ends. That part of it, it's different, right? Creatively, it's a little bit different than what you expect. So I give him credit there, but it really wasn't. I wasn't super pumped up about how it finished.
Yeah,
I like woman pulls up Sandman by his hair. That's how he gets to his feet. I thought that was kind of a cool weird little touch.
Yeah.
Did you notice the blood on the Zubaz in the crotch area?
Yeah,
I didn't.
Was wondering what that was about.
Was it there at the beginning of the match?
No,
it's catheter situation.
Or did
probably wants to
Conan-
get that checked out. I mean, I mean, Kevin and I saw the Sandman probably 10, 12 years ago, and he was just a mess. And he's a mess here. It's really he does a good job with this life imitating art thing.
Yeah.
He comes out, he's smoking, he's drinking. He looks completely exhausted throughout the whole match.
If you're talking about like living the gimmick, right? He is essentially Trailer Park Ric Flair. That is what he's doing.
Takes a lot of effort to retain your world title. I mean, you guys. who did you guys ever beat?
That's fair.
I beat Cold Stone Tim Boston under Filipino rules.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to ask what those rules are.
So I did like woman stroking the Singapore cane. That was nice.
By the way, I love the visual of you just astutely looking at your notebook, like, what do we got here? Blood on the crotch, stroking a cane. Yes, that was great. Love that. But no,
you've heard our show, haven't you?
Yeah. That's why I brought you on.
Kind of stuff we look for. Oh yeah, Ray shows up, right?
Does he? Probably. He's Mexican.
Yeah, he showed up and tried to help Conan, but to no avail.
To no avail, yeah.
But yeah, again, I put something about woman being she helped a guy win, so I had a girl.
That is true. But for some reason, I thought they both just got knocked out and that was it. But yes, woman does pull up Sandman. I think it's kind of a skeezy way to win. But retains his title, and woman has all the gold still, so that's good. I'm glad for her. But after that, we have what might be, you could argue, could be the match of the night. Stevie Richards.
Studley Steve.
Studley Stevie Richards, the King of Swing, versus Sabu. Man, this was a interesting because Sabu's just like so psychotic. He's just throwing chairs at Stevie. Stevie does. I agree in Stevie Richards being underrated because he plays his character so well. He's just running away from Sabu for a good chunk of like the beginning of it. I think he even jumps over the barricade into the crowd at some points. You got your table spots. You have like tables or Sabu setting up a table ringside. He goes to cross body Stevie off the apron through the table, but Stevie gets out of the way and Sabu just goes crashing through it. At some point, Stevie gets hung up in the ropes, like hanging in the inside of the ring. Sabu comes off the top rope with a leg drop onto Stevie off the ropes. You got Sabu throwing out planches to the outside onto Meanie, who's ringside. You got jumping Hurricane Rana to Stevie over the barricade. What else? Any other spots in this match kind of catch your guys' eye?
Well, I mean, right away, the knee to the nuts. That's always going to be the spot that grabs me. I'm trying to, on our show, we do a little thing every now and again called Decipher the Note. I'm trying to figure out was there a guy named Paul that ever showed up during this match?
Paul Heyman?
Paul,
Dangerously?
okay,
Yes.
That's why. Okay. Fuck, man. I'm reading my notes. I was like, Paul. I don't remember Paul showing up here. Where was Paul? And I was like, who could Paul be? And then I was like, was it RVD? Did I make the note and didn't realize that I knew RVD's actual name? And I was like, no, he's not Paul either. I was fucking lost. Stevie slips early in the match. Always funny when, I don't know, it's like a botchamania situation. Sabu's just, he's just captivating, right? Just watching him, he always grabs your attention, and it's not always good, and it's I wouldn't say that it's ever really bad though either. Like even when he fucks up, it is still super interesting. So anytime that Sabu's on, he's going to grab your attention. I enjoy a lot of what Sabu does, and I think that you're probably right. This is probably the second best match of the night.
What will the first one be?
What, Gigalo Jimmy Del Ray?
All right.
Golly, come on.
Continue, Duke. Man, so you had Paul written down there, and you couldn't put it together that it was
Paul Levesque.
Shit.
Paul Orndorff. Like, I didn't know what. I'm sorry, man. I forgot. It was a long day at the goddamn office.
That would be a monkey wrench stone if Paul Orndorff came out.
That'd be fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let it slide, I guess. This is prime time Sabu right here.
Oh,
Doesn't really get any better than this as far as like his, accuracy. It's still sloppy, but he's hitting everybody, or he's hitting the spots. Yeah, I remember getting the PWI 500 back in '96, and he was actually like number 4 or 5 on the list. So he was just tearing up the several different promotions. We talked about this on our Halloween special episode, where he was on a WCW Nitro randomly. He would go from spot to spot and just kick ass for a while, then disappear. That was kind of his thing, but very, very entertaining. You covered all the main spots. He does the Sabu might still be wrestling, but I don't think he was ever as on point as he is during this time. Right away sets up the chair, does the flying guy off of the chair. I think he probably jumps into the crowd.
It's an Arabian guy off the chair, actually.
Yeah. What's that called? He calls it like the Arabian facebuster or something like that.
Okay, so there's an Arabian facebuster, which is just a leg drop with the chair. But then there's the atomic Arabian facebuster, which is like a flip off the top rope with the chair.
And when he went into the crowd, that was Air Sabu into the crowd.
Right. Of course. He is homicidal, as we all know. But, the ending stretch of this match, it felt like this was the only match in the show where there was, like somebody was in a pin. It was like, oh, my God, he's got him. Oh, no, he doesn't. Like, there was, like, good drama in the match. Like, Stevie rolls Sabu up in a small package, kicks out. Sabu hits a lariat. Stevie follows up with a super kick. And then, like I mentioned, Sabu eventually hits the atomic Arabian facebuster and gets the win. But yeah, like I said, very solid match. Kind of surprising. I mean, I think Sabu. I mean, I've watched a lot of Sabu recently for whatever reason. Between this and his run in TNA, and Sabu is another guy that I feel like is very underrated. I feel like he's not. I mean, he is sloppy, but I feel like for the most part, the Sabu matches are very entertaining. I think.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It's always he's always going to grab your attention when he's on the screen.
Yeah. But that brings us to the main event. We got a street fight on our hands, folks. And this is the reason we're all here, after all, because the show is titled House Party. And that is because it is the final ECW match. There we go. There we go. I'll put Hot Stepper in the background for that. But,
Here comes a hot step.
I don't know the words. The final match for Public Enemy in ECW till they scurry off to WCW. Crowd's obviously very keen on this. There's a big "You'll be back" chant towards the Public Enemy, which they just saw franchised Shane Douglas come back, so it's natural that they would feel that way. But yeah, Public Enemy, man. I don't know how much of Public Enemy you guys have seen. I feel like if you've seen one match, you've kind of seen them all. But
Seen a ton of Public Enemy, man. A ton.
all right, yeah, because are Public Enemy like in the final years of WCW, or how long are they there?
Boy, so they're gone before the final years start to hit, but they had a really strong run in WCW 96 through
Oh, it's right, because then they go to WWE and then get bullied out. That's right.
They were in WWE for just a fucking less than a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I got to say this. At least Johnny Grunge, to a lesser extent, Rocco Rock, you could tell that they just, ate their advance checks. Let's say this. If you look at one of the shows that we did, say Bash at the Beach or Hog Wild or something like that,
yeah,
from later on in '96, these guys are fat asses. They're not on this show though. They're looking pretty lean and mean on this show.
Are they? That's unfortunate.
That was like a big. I don't know why. I just made note of that. It's like these guys are a lot smaller than they are just a few months later. So
they took Land of the Giants the wrong direction, is what you're telling me.
Well, I mean,
the big boys play.
I'm guessing WCW had catering and ECW probably didn't.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, it's probably true. Probably sick of the cheesesteak at this point. So,
they kind of go out of their way to throw out obscenities on the mic at the beginning.
Now that you've seen the best, are you ready for the motherfucking best? This is so unnecessary. Why are you yelling, first of all, Johnny Grunge? Yeah, there's just a lot of, I fucking love you guys. They're leaving, they're like, you guys are the fucking best. All right, we got it. Just get stabbed by New Jack or something. We're here. Yeah. Which, by the way, they're facing the Gangsters, the team of Mustafa and New Jack, and damn, man, I feel like Gangsters, Public Enemy, it's just brawling around the arena. This match actually, it felt like Mustafa, and I think it was Rock. I'm trying to remember who was with who. Yeah, Mustafa and Rock were basically paired up the entire match in the ring, and they were doing some actual wrestling in the ring. I think Mustafa had an Indian deathlock of some sort, which is didn't expect that when you got Jack and Grunge in the crowd. They do the spots off the stage, and there's tables and lots of weapons, of course, enter the fray. I mean, I think there's more pies in this one.
Yep, somebody just pie.
Yep.
Which lends that your theory of a bake sale that's probably accurate, because who's bringing multiple pies to a wrestling show? So
perhaps it was a bingo prize.
Oh, that could be true. Yeah.
Like a pastry, the pastry version of a meat raffle. You're thinking
a meat raffle?
Yeah.
What's a meat raffle? Tell me.
Oh boy, you don't have meat raffles?
I might. I've just never heard that terminology before.
Okay. Well, meat raffle is a pretty simple concept. You go somewhere, they got a bunch of meat. You buy a ticket. If they call your number, you get to go pick out what meat you want.
Oh, okay, I thought this was like a euphemism of some sort, but I guess not. It's just literally a raffle for meat. Okay.
Yeah, literally a raffle for meat. You see it a lot in poor communities.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I've never really sought one out personally, but I'll be on the lookout.
I could go buy meat, but I'd rather buy a raffle ticket and win it. It tastes better.
When you win. Yes.
Yeah. Did you guys? What did you guys think of New Jack with that noose right out of the gate?
Yeah, they started off hot and heavy here. I think Jack even stabs Grunge in the head with something to start off the match.
Yeah, right away.
So I didn't take many notes on this match at all. So I was trying to figure out. I even wrote it down in my notes because I loved ECW. Did I love it just because it was different? Like, is that the only reason? Because, especially in this match, the action isn't very good. It's super violent, but it isn't very good. It's not a very good match.
No.
So I'm guessing that at that point in my life, I just really loved it because it was an alternative and it was different. But the match itself was not fun. It was not enjoyable.
It's mindless violence,
Yes.
as per any Public Enemy Gangsta's match, I feel like.
Yeah.
Their shirts say "violent by design," so I mean,
Shit. Yeah, you're right. I really should
that's
have paid
the
attention
point
to that, actually. Yeah.
of the deal. Well, I made note of how filthy the ring is at this point.
Someone needs to get in
blood
there
and-
and clean it up.
The blood and the pie and the
Yeah, where's that
all the
motherfucker
other
in
filth.
Windbreakers? Send him out with a broom.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd never seen an iron used as a weapon before, so that was kind of cool.
Oh, of course you have. You watch the Flintstones.
Right.
They had irons in the Flints. Okay.
Oh, come on. I'll send you the link.
Jeff
Okay.
Jarrett versus China, at least. I mean, they used an iron in that one, right?
Oh yeah.
Probably. Home housekeeping or whatever the hell that was called. Have you ever seen a loaf of bread used in a match?
No.
I'm pretty sure that's what that was. I'm pretty sure that's what Joey Styles said. Like nightsticks, a mad ball, which I think was like a sock with a something in it, a lacrosse ball maybe in there. I don't know.
mad ball?
A mad ball. You know, that's what the fucking the Pride and Powerful from AEW. They had like the thing they like hit.
Oh, okay.
It's like a
Gotcha.
I don't know what it is. Somebody's listening. It's like, oh, it's a.
I thought they fill it up with oranges. Wasn't that
Oranges?
the gimmick? Yeah, because if you hit somebody with a sack of oranges, it doesn't leave bruises.
I don't know. This is all new to me. I'll keep that in mind, though.
I don't know that for sure. That's not a fact that I would know.
You said that with a lot of confidence. So
Yeah.
I say a lot of things with a lot of confidence.
Yeah,
That's why people
right.
believe what I'm fucking saying.
There's a good
You're
amount
not
of
wrong
nut
there.
shots in this one,
lots
which
of them.
which is good. On our last season of the Year of podcast, we saw the Nasty Boys take on Public Enemy about 5 times. And this was a little more enjoyable than that. I suppose it's just because I was burned out on the Nasties facing them, but there's more variety. They were obviously more free to do kind of. Well, I don't know. Their stuff in WCW is a lot of this same type of shit, but not quite as
Yeah, they
violent, I guess.
pretty much introduced tables to WCW. I don't know if they're the
That's
first
true.
ones, but that was a staple, at least in the early. Because I'm rewatching it now, and I just saw where they debuted in the first match. They brought up like a double table spot, which is pretty crazy to see on WCW.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to say, I know this isn't my show per se, but can we get a moment of silence for everybody except for Mustafa in this one?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Need a moment of silence. Have to have a moment of silence, man. That's why we're here. We got to make sure we have a moment of silence for. Who'd you say, Duke?
Grunge Rock and New Jack.
Boy, 3 moments of silence and 1 roaring hell yeah for Mustafa still alive?
He's still kicking,
Somehow.
man.
All right, Duke. You're right. I'm going to have to respect you on this. The triple moment of silence.
Fuck. Hold on. I had my soundboard ready for something.
It's a moment. Ah, there it is.
Well, I didn't post. Don't worry.
Was that a fucking drum roll?
Look, man, I was on the spot. I don't have my fart noises loaded up. It's a whole thing.
Gotcha. I understand.
Glad we got that spot in, anyways.
Yeah, moment of silence is important.
It is. It is not for the. Who else is dead on this show? I guess not a lot, honestly. Surprisingly, I feel like you'd see more on like a WWF show. Bubba's still there. Taz, man.
Gigalo's. That would have been a. Kevin, you would have probably appreciated that more.
Gigalo Jimmy Del Ray is not dead. All right, he's still alive and well.
Unfortunately,
still alive and well in my heart. He will always live. Right? He's what's the old saying? He's gone but never forgotten. He's not really gone though, because he's still living a great life. Fuck you, Duke. All right, fuck you.
Well, this is a match that happened, is what I'm trying to say. You got I did like the spinning toe hold from Mustafa. I thought that was fun. Amongst the chaos, you have Mustafa locking in a Rock and a spinning toe hold. But then the tables get involved. You got Mustafa hits a Vader bomb through Rock through a table. You got Rock hitting a moonsault through Mustafa through the table. Like I said, it's like Rock and Mustafa are kind of just doing stuff in the ring while Jack and Grunge are finger fucking in the crowd somewhere.
Hell yeah.
But ultimately, Mustafa hits the drive-by on Mustafa for the win, which is a swanton, essentially. And so the Public Enemy get the win in their final ECW match. Rock grabs the mic, says fuck a bunch of times, and then you're all the fucking best fans in the world and all that. And one last dance with the locker room is what they ask for. And then we get like a video package of all their moments in ECW, which, to be fair, Public Enemy, I mean, they were one of the foundations of Extreme Championship Wrestling. That's for sure. So definitely a big moment seeing them leave here. I don't know. Do you guys have any Public Enemy memories that come to mind?
Well, they are that's what opened when ECW became ECW. That's how they opened their first show, was with the Public Enemy. Obviously, big time deal for ECW. Couple of things that I guess bothered me as far as like their ECW run. Really, they can wrestle. That's the most frustrating thing, is that they can wrestle and they just fucking don't. With this match itself, and I don't know who you blame. I'm guessing it has to be Heyman, but that's the oldest, like one of the oldest wrestling rules. If you're on your way out, you put somebody else over, right? Because you're leaving, and they don't. I hate that they didn't do that with them. And then they gave him this huge, like it was almost like a funeral video package after the match was over for Public Enemy. It was a little much. They went through to a great extent to put them over, even though that they were leaving. So that's the part that I didn't care for as far as this goes. But overall, I mean, I've always been a big fan of Public Enemy.
That was I didn't expect that tribute at the end, but yeah, it was kind of like a funeral type thing. Well, not it'd be a really really weird funeral type of video, but
I want that played at my funeral.
The Public Enemy.
Yeah. Just throw everybody for a fucking loop.
Yeah.
There was a couple of funny spots in there, like when they're drunkenly driving the golf cart. And they're getting arrested by the cop for who knows what.
Jumping into the limo.
Yeah, this was. These guys were the first responsible for the first time I ever seen anybody go through a table, so they were important. For sure. I mean, yeah, Kevin, you're right. They can wrestle. You're right. That's probably what made that Nasty Boys feud so like unsatisfying, was that all they were doing was hitting each other with shit and nobody was selling anything. You know, and a couple of big goons like this, you wouldn't expect it out of them, especially Rocco Rock. He was a pretty good high flyer. But I mean, they got the crowd going like nobody's business too. We had this bit all the time. Oof. And I'm pretty certain, I could be wrong, but weren't they involved when they all that spot where the fans covered the ring and chairs?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not the chairs.
Yeah, it was. They were celebrating a match.
Yeah,
and they invited the fans in the ring, and then they broke the ring.
Ring collapsed. Yeah.
Right. That chairs spot wasn't them, though.
No, that was Terry Funk and
Cactus Jack, I think.
Could have been, yeah.
Probably, yeah. I must be. Yeah, I was.
It all
I was
blurs together.
Yeah, but as far as being over like that, nobody was as over as these guys.
No, man, that entrance, legendary. Hop stepper, can't beat it.
Yeah, and it's fun, you know. I mean, the Dudleys are the ones that get the credit for the tables, but I don't believe that they did it first. So,
yeah.
But I mean, it was. What are you laughing about there, jackass?
I can't get fucking Hot Stepper out of my mind now. So you're making some pretty damn good fine points, but in my head all I'm hearing is the Hot Stepper.
Fair enough.
But yes, boys, that brings House Party 1996 to a close. And any other overall thoughts on the show? Anything we missed? Anything?
Boy,
no, nothing. I don't think we likely did miss something just because they jammed way too much shit into this show. It was super active. What I do want to do now though is go back and watch other ECW to see if I was wrong. In my youth, was I wrong for being such an ECW fan? Because
I wouldn't go before this.
I was gonna say this didn't make me feel right. It certainly didn't make me feel right, man.
it was a rough watch.
It was a rough watch, and Gigalo Jimmy being there, man, I was jumping up. I was doing the jiggle in my office here watching it. I was super happy. They really did him pretty dirty. I was kind of disappointed in that, but
I get to see it.
I don't know if it's worth a rewatch or not. Like, I don't know if I'll need to go back and watch this event itself.
I mean, it was hard to stay engaged at points because of the chaos, but I will say this had a little bit of kind of everything everything you like about wrestling, or everything I like about wrestling. Had good wrestling, good high. There was a little bit of everything in here. There was just kind of. It could have been put together better, I suppose, to make a more compelling product, right? Like I said at the top of the show, I laughed at how that big melee, whatever, at the beginning, how that just turned into a tag team match. Like everybody's just going nuts, and all of a sudden there's a referee and fucking 911 and Ray are on a team. Yeah. Okay. It's
the legendary tag team of 911 and Ray Mysterio. 911 and 619, huh? That's something.
There it is.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
That's
61911.
Oh, come on now. We're cooking with gas. If I didn't want you guys to plug your shit, I would just cut it right there. But
that's the right thing to
do. Don't listen to these guys. But yes, boys. Once again, thank you for making the time to check out the show and come on recap it. Where can everybody find you guys in the Year of podcast?
So you can find the Year of Duke and Rogue podcast on Twitter at Year of Pod. If you want to go back and listen to our catalog, you just search Gorilla Brain Wrestling Podcast wherever you get your pods. That's at GBW Pods on Twitter, and there's an Instagram, Gorilla Brain Wrestling Podcast on Instagram. There's a Facebook group, Gorilla Brain Wrestling Podcast on Facebook. What the hell else is there? We have PWT store. Just look up Gorilla Brain Wrestling Podcast on the PWTs. I don't know. What am I missing here, Duke? Nothing. Perfect. Nailed it. That was a cliffhanger too, man.
We got our first 3 seasons and change on the Spotify. Right now we're working through some real tough to watch stuff. The WCW in the year 2000, real bad stuff. But I think you'll enjoy listening to us talk about it. We're going to be covering Super Brawl 2000 sometime here.
Ooh, yeah. I was listening to you guys run down like the entire like last year or two of WCW. I was like, oh, it is just miss after miss after rolled ankle after. Oh, it was just. I thought maybe ECW might be a good change of pace, but maybe not. Maybe not.
I enjoyed it. It's kind of the opposite of, well, there's similarities but differences, you know. I was going to say it's kind of the opposite of what was happening with WCW, but, you know.
Kind of not really.
Well, you know, people's checks were bouncing here. They were throwing money away in WCW.
That's a good point.
I don't know. This the violence, but the chaotic bullshit. That's a. If this makes sense, probably doesn't. But if WCW in the year 2000 was more of a shit show than this show was.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it did kind of remind me of all the different moving parts not really coming together at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I don't know.
ECW knew who they were. You know, they knew they were bloody penises at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's how they identified, at least.
once again, thank you to Kevin and Duke from the Year of Podcast for joining me. For partying it up with me, folks. Go check out the Year of Podcasts wherever you listen to podcasts. You'll find it under the Gorilla Brain banner. All their info in the description below. Go check out those boys. A great group of lads. Hilarious. I mean, as you listened, you very well know their humor. So go check them out and check me out. Why don't you? apronbump.com for all my full episodes, all that shit. You know where to find me. Apron Bump across the board on social media. Rate the podcast, review the podcast, buy a shirt, suck my nipples, call me a little calf, and milk me until I'm curdled. I don't know. I kind of fell down a hill there. Sometimes you just start talking and see what noises come out. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for listening. I truly love you all. Big smooches all around. I'm hard.
And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it.